This is a non-negotiable for me. It's not optional. It's not something I'm going to weigh against what the cost is going to be. I would get a pre-listing inspection before I called a single agent, before I called a stager, before I touched a single thing in my house. Here's why. The buyer, they are going to inspect my home. That's a given. If I wait for their inspector to find problems in my home, I am going to be negotiating from a reactive position. At that point, because we're already under contract, I am going to be emotionally invested in my closing date with a buyer who now has leverage that they didn't have before they walked through my door. If I find the problems first, I get to decide what I want to do about them on my own timeline. Fix them before I list and price the home as a clean property, or price around them if I choose not to fix them, or do nothing at all. Disclose them and then price accordingly. All of these are a better outcome than getting surprised by a buyer during the inspection period who is now reconsidering the whole home purchase. According to NAR's November 2025 Realtors Confidence Index survey, 15% of contracts experienced delayed settlements, and inspection issues were among the leading cause. A pre-listing inspection does not guarantee you a smooth close, but it removes the last-minute sores that most buyers get at the inspection period. I would get a pre-listing inspection, and I would read that report carefully, and I would make a decision about what I want to fix before the listing goes live, not when I'm under contract. Once I had the inspection report, I would sit down with it and I would go through it with a very specific filter, not what bothers me about my house, and certainly not what would I fix if I were going to stay. Those are the wrong questions. The right question is, what is going to show up on the buyer's inspection? What is going to create doubt? And what is going to cost me more during negotiations than it would be if I just fixed it right now? Those items, I'm going to fix them. Everything else, I'm going to evaluate what my return on my investment is going to be. There are negotiations that pay for themselves in reduced negotiations and a faster close. And there are improvements that return nothing because buyers don't value them the same way the sellers think that the buyers will. A brand new roof pays. A full kitchen remodel in a $350,000 home usually doesn't. Fixing the water heater pays. Repainting every single room in the home your favorite color doesn't. Here's the rule. Fix anything that looks like it's neglect or is going to create doubt on the structural integrity of the home. And skip what's just a cosmetic preference. Many buyers are okay if they have to repaint the interior or exterior of the home. Many buyers are not okay if they need to re-roof the house. And even if they have the financial means to do so, doesn't mean they want to do so. And I would resist the very strong temptation to over-improve my house compared to the neighborhood. If every comparable home in my neighborhood comes with the builder grade stock kitchen cabinets, and I decide I am going to redo my kitchen with custom cabinetry right before I list, I'm probably not even going to get most of my money back. Buyers will pay for what the market supports, but they are not going to give me dollar for dollar what I put into my home. I would not list with the agent who told me that my home was worth the most amount of money. I would not choose the agent with the most yard signs in my neighborhood because yard signs are not a volume metric. They tell me that the agent lists a lot of homes, but it doesn't tell me if the agent sells them well. I would ask for actual performance data. I want to see it on a report. I want to see how many homes they sold in the last year. What were their average days on market compared to the market average for that neighborhood? What was the average sold price compared to the list price? That information, it's going to tell me how that agent's listings perform, and that is the number I care most about. And I would ask them specifically, what is your marketing plan beyond Zillow and the MLS? I want to hear a specific answer. I don't want to hear, we use all the major platforms. I want a real plan with real details, how they are going to put my home in front of the right buyers. And I would read that listing agreement, every single line. And I would want to know specifically about the release clause. I would know exactly what I was committing to before I committed to it. If an agent could not answer my questions specifically, or they get uncomfortable because I'm asking for more details, that tells me everything I need to know. The right agent welcomes the seller who's doing their homework because the right agent has something to show for it. This is a step where sellers, including me if I'm being honest, feel the most temptation to let emotion into the decision. Your home is not just a financial asset. You lived in it. You've put things into it. And you know what it means and you know what it cost. Buyers, they don't know any of that. And even if you create that 1 to 3 page list, they don't care. I know you want to look at Zillow and Realtor.com and Homes.com and you want to say, well, they said this is what my home is worth. They're not buying your home. The buyer is buying your home, and the buyer doesn't care what they said. What buyers do know is what homes are for sale right now in your market at your price point. They're comparing your home against every other home in the same price range, in the same area, that they can go take their pocketbook and go buy that home instead. If you price your home above what the comps say, your home is not going to appear in the right searches that they should be in. The buyers that should find you, they're not going to even see you. And the buyers that do see you, based on the price range and what other homes are in that price range, they're going to come into your home very skeptical. I would price my home at what the comps say my home is worth, not at the top of my range, not above my range because I want to have wiggle room, not what an agent walks in and tells me the highest price point is that I want to hear, but I would price it at the number that the data supports that tells me what the buyers are actually willing to pay for my home. Real quick, if you're getting ready to list your home and you want someone who's in your corner, who's going to tell you the truth, not what you want to hear, then use the link in the description below and grab some time on my calendar. We'll jump on a quick Zoom. We're going to look at your situation honestly, and then we're going to figure out what the right next step is together. And if you're not in my market, that's fine too. I can connect you with the right agent where you're at. There's no pressure. This is just a conversation. Timing isn't everything. A badly presented, overpriced home in peak season will still sit. But timing does matter at the margins. And margins in real estate, they are measured in thousands of dollars. According to Realtor.com data, homes listed in mid-spring, specifically the April through June window, consistently sell faster and command prices meaningfully above what the home sales were for January or December. Homes listed between May and July sell between 40 and 43 days on average. Those same homes in January average closer to 57 days. That is 2 additional weeks on the market. That's 2 additional weeks of carrying costs and 2 additional weeks of pricing pressure. If I had the flexibility to time when I wanted to list, I would choose the spring market. Not because timing guarantees anything, because it doesn't, but because I would rather have the odds working for me than against me. If I didn't have the flexibility to pick my time, like let's say a job change or a family circumstance happened, then I would list as soon as possible and I wouldn't chase a season. I would focus on what I could control: presentation, pricing, preparation, and the agent. I know from experience, a well-presented home in November will outperform a poorly presented home in May. Timing is a tailwind. It is not a substitute for doing the work. I would never do an open house. Serious buyers make appointments. I would never spend hours cleaning my home and getting it ready for a buyer who didn't already submit their proof of funds or pre-approval letter before scheduling their showing. I would never accept an offer from a buyer that didn't actually step foot in my home, because I have seen too often where buyers will tie up a home that they're not able to see, worried that they're going to lose it, and then come in during the inspection period and decide they don't like the house. Then you've lost time on market. I would never accept an offer from a buyer who has to sell their home in order to close on my home, and that home isn't under contract, or worse, it's not even listed on the market for sale. I would not accept a buyer's request for repair credits unless there's a quote to know exactly what those costs are going to be. I have seen sellers pay 2 to 3 times what the cost actually is because nobody got a quote. And even if the buyer got their own quote, and I would do my due diligence and I would get my own quote, then I would negotiate between the 2 quotes, not the number that the buyer or the buyer's agent pushed my way and said, take it or leave it. I'd probably push back and maybe just leave it. I would cap the buyer's closing costs request at a number, not just leave it open-ended to whatever the buyer's closing costs are. It would be a hard number. Open-ended closing cost concessions become surprises at the table, and that's not the kind of surprise I want. I would not accept an option for an extended period of time that is longer than the market's average. So, for example, home inspections in the state of Florida are on average 15 days. I'm not going to give you 30 days. Closing dates in Florida are on average 30 to 45 days. I'm not giving you 90. When my home is off market, that's costing me real money. And I would not hand over a home until it was fully documented. I would have professional cleaning with a receipt. I'd have the last mow of the yard with a receipt. And if I had a pool, I would have the last cleaning of a pool with a receipt. And I would have photos of every single room in the house and the exterior of the home with timestamps. Not because I'm expecting a fight, but because I have found that the people who don't have a fight are the ones who documented everything beforehand. I know I've said this in another video, and I'm going to say it here again because sellers still don't do this. Buyers are not comfortable, and they will not talk honestly about your home when the seller is present. Buyers will not stand in any room in the house and let themselves feel what it would feel like if they lived in that home. They will be polite, they will be brief, and they will leave without having ever experienced your home. And then they will not make an offer. I would pack up my 4 dogs and my 1 cat. We would go get some coffee, and I would give those buyers an hour in an empty house to enjoy it and imagine what their life would be like there. Because that's the environment where offers happen. Let me put all of this together. Pre-listing inspection before anything else. Repairs are going to be based on my return on my investment, not my emotions. Choosing a listing agent based on their performance data, not their personality. I'm going to set my price on the real data, not hope and a prayer. If I have a choice when I'm going to list my home, I'm going to list it in the spring. And that's only if I have the flexibility to choose. I will negotiate the purchase contract with a full understanding of I know what I am agreeing to. And me, I'm not going to be in the house during the showings. None of this is complicated. All of it requires being willing to approach the sale of your home as a financial transaction instead of the emotional event that we know it is. And here's the honest thing about this list. Most sellers don't do most of it. Not because they don't care, but because nobody walked them through it before they were in the middle of it. And by the time you're under contract and something goes sideways, and it always does, the moment to do most of these things have already passed. This is the moment. Before you list, before you do anything, before the clock starts. If I were selling my home right now, I would start here. If anything in this video sounds like your situation or something you see coming, that's usually a sign it's time to talk to somebody who's going to be straight with you. I work with sellers in Central Florida directly. And for everyone else, I have a network of agents across the country that I refer clients to every day. Either way, use the link in the description to grab time on my calendar. We'll get on a Zoom, we'll look at what you've got, and we'll figure out what makes sense. And if the right move is connecting you with somebody in your market, I'll take care of that for you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.